Welcome, everyone, to episode number 13 of the Suited Kings podcast. You might be wondering why I'm doing the intro today, and it's with great sadness that I actually have to announce that Max is no longer with us.
Yeah, I quit, dude.
Yeah. I wasn't sure which way I was going to go with that. I'm like, is he dead or did I fire him somehow? Or,
Well, let's just say that you killed me.
well, that would be pretty bad of me to announce to the whole world.
I suppose, yeah. You just buried me financially, so
Yeah, we played heads up, and we played heads up for the right to do the podcast alone, and
yeah. So I'm currently out of work. So if anyone needs a podcast host or a music producer or a realtor, you can just holler at me.
There you
can
go.
find me on Twitter. At
That actually turned into a decent plug. I feel like.
I love it. Let's go. Episode 13, lucky episode 13, Wes.
You know, that was actually at some point in my high school baseball career. I think it was in middle school. I was number 13 every year, and I chose
Why?
number 13 because it was. I don't know. I like being contrarian.
I love 3 is my favorite number, but I'll never put a 1 in front of it. It's just a fail.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it worked for me.
You know, Wes, I've been really wanting to go on a vacation, do the beach life thing. Unfortunately, I'm getting I was going to say unfortunately I'm getting married, but
Don't her parents listen to this sometimes? I mean,
shoot. What I was trying to get at here is that because I can't go to the Bahamas, we're just going to be watching Bahamas online this week.
yeah, so there have been a lot of big tournaments recently, like on stream and whatnot. I think as we're recording this, we had just talked about the WPT Prime final table just happened last night.
Which you entered that tournament, right?
Yep, it was one of my one bullet small cashes that I had
Okay.
out in Vegas.
Okay.
And then there's the $1 million final table, right?
The one drop. Yeah, the one
Yeah, the
drop,
one
$1
drop.
million buy-in final table. They're down to the final 6 or 7. Only 4 get paid. Imagine.
Right,
bubbling
yeah, it's
that.
only 17, so like final table does not really, it doesn't mean what it usually does. But.
To touch on that topic before we move on, I saw Chad Holloway, I believe, make a tweet saying that he thought the line was going to be like 15.5, and a bunch of pros chimed in and were like, not a chance, like bullshit. And I think they got 17, didn't they?
Yeah, that's pretty close.
So I'd say that's a pretty good line, right?
Yeah.
Chad, well done. Even all that backlash you got.
Yeah, well done. Stick with your guns.
Yeah, looking forward to also watching that tonight. You got all the killers in there.
I actually might throw that on too. I think one of the best ways I learn is just watching very good players play against each other and whatnot. Who's even on that final table?
I think Chidwick's there. I'd have to look at it again. I can't remember. But one thing I kind of want to mention for people who are going to watch it tonight, just remember that, and this is kind of the tournaments you're going to play in aren't going to be players of this caliber. So don't try and imitate too much of what they're doing rather than just trying to figure out what they're doing and why they're doing it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you always might try something like this against an unexperienced opponent and just get your face melted off. So that's what we're trying to remove here.
Definitely. And also, one thing I like about, when I go to Vegas or when I play in these tough tournaments is I actually do get to implement this sort of stuff a little bit,
Yeah. No, that's true. I mean, it's important to learn it as well for when you do come into those, when you're playing events such as that.
Yeah.
How long till you fire the $1 million buy-in?
I mean, I fired this year. No. I think I will probably never play $1 million buy-in. I will probably not ever play anything close to that.
That's fair. Yeah. Did you ever have a desire to be a high roller or play any high roller events?
I mean, the thing for me, and this could be a whole different topic we talk about on the podcast, but it's like I would rather sort of continue to succeed and slowly move up in stakes if I move up in stakes. Like, my goal is more to enjoy playing, play well, and like make a living from like
follow your guidelines. You don't need to shot taking 100K right away.
Right, yeah. There's no reason to play these huge stakes. Obviously not $1 million, but even like
25K.
Yeah, 25 or 10Ks, because it's like, well, I wouldn't even have most of myself right now. And so and I think we talked about this on the Rec Poker podcast, where it's like, let's say you can play a 1K and have all yourself, or a 5K and have 20 or 25% of yourself. It's like, well, you're going to have a bigger edge in the 1K. So, like, why are you having the same amount of risk / exposure in that turn? I mean, you know, if you sell for markup, yeah, I get it.
Well, I do admire you for being able to stay within those lines that you've set for yourself, because I know you were just in Vegas, and I know you have the bankroll to play a 10K, such as the WPT main event that's going on right now.
That's the thing, though, is like, I don't actually like. I can play it, obviously, but
I mean,
by actual pro bankroll guidelines,
right. I mean, you could easily sell. I'm saying you could easily sell action and still not worry financially about the tournament. 100%. But you just decided that, hey, like, I'm working different angles here. I'm working different spots. I can play these 1Ks and these 500s and whatever, and just make a comfortable living without having to risk this much, and then, you know, have to start, you know.
Take
steps back.
I don't want to have to, like, I think we talked about this once. I don't want to FOMO buy into tournaments like, I'm sure it was good value.
A lot of people do that, including myself, so I understand. It's a smart thing to not do.
And, like, I've probably done it too, for sure. But
Okay.
I'd rather, and also I just don't like being in Vegas that long.
Yeah, I mean, you did, like I said, you did win $250,000 right away earlier this summer, but that's probably why it was easy to stay there 40 days. But you were there for a week this time, and you're like, get me
and
I
I had a flight out on Friday, so I would have been out 9 days. I booked a flight 2 days earlier to just get right out of there when I was done with the tournament. I didn't even have a refundable flight, so I paid an extra money just to get out of there 2 days early.
I don't blame you, man. Well, Wes, I just want to say that you did a fantastic job with the intro.
Oh, thanks.
I'll be taking it from here, though.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
just play it, dog. Today's episode, we get into the Bahamas, the WSOP Paradise Main Event. We're going to be breaking down a bunch of hands from the middle of the tourney all the way to the end and just dissecting them, seeing what people are doing. We got a bunch of good hands lined up today, kind of ranging from pot controlling to punting.
Yeah, I was surprised. So I watched, so my 3 hands are all from day 3. There's a stream. It starts with like 50 left or 40 something left. And I think the stream goes down to 7 left, but I was shocked. I like started near the beginning, and so quickly I was like, I have these 3 hands we can talk about. Like, we don't need any more.
Yeah,
you know?
No, it's perfect. Yeah, and I got 3 from the final table. So we'll just go in kind of sequential order. We'll start with your day 3 hands, and then I think day 4 was the final. Yeah, day 4 was the final
day 3
table.
They played down to 7.
I think, so this tournament was a lot different than the actual WSOP main event structure-wise and everything. This was a 5K buy-in compared to a 10K buy-in. I think it was, what was the prize pool on this? Do you remember?
I don't actually.
I don't remember the prize pool on it, but I think it's somewhere around $5 million up top, if I can remember correctly. We should probably double check.
No. I think it was like 2.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
It was like a 15 million prize pool.
There's been so much poker streamed lately that I forget which one's which. I've been watching EPT Prague. I've been watching
then there
Bahamas.
was the 10K in Vegas.
And then,
too.
there's just, So anyways, I'm getting mixed up here a little bit. Let's get into some hands and let's learn some stuff.
All right, so hand number 1 that I wanted to go over. So the situation we're in here is it's day 3. The payouts are over 40K. So this is a 5K. So we're already pretty deep in. The blinds are 40, 80, 80K. So pretty large. The first hand, it folds around to the small blind. And this is a guy who, his last name is Graham, and I think they said he's like an investor of some sort. So definitely...
Never seen him before.
Yeah, he's an amateur to an extent. He must be a pretty decent player if he's, making it this far. And I can tell by the way he plays, because actually 2 of my 3 hands involve him. He's definitely a thinking player. I don't know how good he is or not, but he's definitely thinking, and he has a plan in his hands. So
okay, all right. Well, I think so. It folds around to the small blind, right? So there's no action.
Yep, and that's him. And he has 800, or he started with 900K, small blind 40K, so he has 860. He limps.
So he has what? 11 and a half bigs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got to start the hand. Like 11. So he limps.
10-6 of hearts. Do we have
No,
any?
no. He has queen 5 off.
All right, sorry.
We're looking at the screen
Yeah,
here.
so we have this stream up. So queen, he's got queen of hearts, 5 of clubs. Are we ever folding or jamming this?
We definitely can't fold it blind versus blind. I mean, we're just too.
Yeah, is queen high enough to jam here? Well, for 11 bigs versus the big blind who has what 2.24 million at 80K.
Yeah,
so he's got just under 30 bigs.
Yeah, I mean the big blind stack doesn't really matter unless he has less than us. But queen, it's very close. Like when you're around 10 big blinds, I would say any king is strong enough to jam here.
Yeah, even like king deuce off.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely. And then I don't think, especially when you're out of position against a player. So I don't think I mentioned the big blind here. Brandon Adams.
He's a consummate pro.
Yeah, he is a crusher. So when you're in a position like that where the big blind is a much stronger player than you, which Graham probably is aware of.
That might make jamming more profitable, so you're not getting outplayed.
Yeah, so I wouldn't hate a jam here.
Okay.
I think a limp is fine. Like queen 5 off isn't great. You can limp fold it pretty easily.
Okay, so Graham in the small blind off 11 bigs, limps with a queen of hearts and 5 of clubs. Brandon Adams?
Brandon Adams
is in the big blind with 10 of hearts and 6 of hearts. Are we always just checking this back?
I don't even hate a jam. I think
Are we never clicking? Or are we only jamming because of the 11 bigs?
If we raise, we're gonna jam. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the last thing I was gonna say is Graham. You want to make sure because you can limp a lot of these weak hands from the small blind. But at these short stacks, you also want to make sure that you're gonna limp in a lot of pocket pairs, like the bigger ones, and then some
pocket nines.
Yep.
Remember
referencing the gladiator final table? Yeah. I did it.
Yeah, and it worked.
It did. Anyways, yeah, I think Adams, he'll want to jam if he has like an ace, a king, small pocket pair. If he's going to do a small raise size, maybe he'd do it with like his super strong hands and then also like an 8-3 offsuit where he can raise small and then
just fold to a jam.
Yep.
That's okay. I like that. All right, so Adams decides to go with the check back.
I think pretty standard. And I think he also recognizes like he's probably a lot better than this guy, so he's going to figure it out post flop a lot more often than not.
Okay. And so the flop comes queen of spades, 8 of diamonds, 4 of hearts. So small blind Graham has top pair with a queen of hearts and then a 5 kicker.
Yep.
Again, flop is queen 8-4. So without my first initial thought here is if this was me, I would just go with a small bet, like a 1 big blind bet.
Yeah. And so I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
I did this one I did throw into GTO Wizard, and it mostly likes to bet this.
I think hands that I would probably do that with on a board like this, again, it's queen 8-4. I would do it with like any queen X, any 8X, 9-10s, jack 10s, like gutters and stuff like that. Anything with a little bit of equity or pairs, stuff like that. I know one other thing I thought too, and when you sent me this hand, my initial thought was I also don't mind checking back the queen as a trap. Or not checking back, but checking as a trap.
Yeah, I think the fact that
the board's pretty dry, so you're not really worried about a lot.
And also one thing to think about is, we talked about how Adams should jam a lot of ace X or king X pre. So the queen high fly, like it's not a vulnerable hand, So it actually makes some sense to trap if you want to go that route too, because like you're not worried about either overcard, and there aren't any immediate flush draws. Like obviously there are gutters, but this is a board that's on the drier side.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think it's good to note that like at this point, he has 820 back and the pot's 240K. Like we're not uncomfortable with the idea of getting it in with queen top pair right now.
Yeah, with 11 bigs.
Yeah.
Before we kind of move on with the action, what hands are you going to be leading here with if you're Graham?
So I think first off, if I had trapped aces or kings, I would do that. I would mostly bet with a queen. I would definitely bet some gut. Like if I limped in with 6-7 off, I would have jammed those suited hands. Like
6-7 suited, 5-6 suited.
Yeah. Offsuit, I may have limped a little bit more. And so I would bet those as a bluff, especially because it's like 6 or 7 high. If Adams just has like jack 6 or, jack 3, like we get to fold out a lot of better hands right away.
The instant folds. What about like the jack 10s and the 9-10s? Are you going to lead those?
Probably less. I think jack 10 I might just check call because like we're ahead a lot of the time. and because he's not going to have ace or king high.
Or we have equity against any pairs like 8s and 4s.
Yep. Yeah, I think Jack 10, I'm probably just going to check.
That's fair. And then
figure it out.
5-6, we lose some of that equity because if he has a pair of 8s, we can't, our turn, we can't turn a pair that will put us in the lead.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Okay, that's cool. So Graham in the small blind decides to turn his queen into a check here. He doesn't lead it. So there's been no significant action so far. It went limp, check back, pre-flop. Then Graham flops top pair with queen 5 and checks it. Adams is in the big blind with 10-6 of hearts. So he has no connection. He has a little the backdoor flush draw.
He's got like
a backdoor straight draws, I guess.
Yeah, he's got the double back door. This strikes me as sort of I would understand a bluff or a check back here. It's like 10 high is probably good occasionally, but also if you bet one blind here, there are a lot of turn cards that you pick up equity on where you could barrel again.
And I would hate to like bet like 1 or 2 big blinds and then just get stuffed on and not get to realize. So I think checking back here is fine to try.
We do have, not in this spot, but a lot of times we have a decent amount of equity with this hand. So it goes check, check. And the turn card is the ace of diamonds. So the ace of diamonds is kind of an interesting card in that we've sort of established no one will really have an ace here, right?
Right, yeah. I mean, the only person that could have an ace is Graham, who would be trapping pre-flop.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Adams would have put Graham all in pre-flop with any ace. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to take any ace out of Adams.
Adams, right. And Graham should have jammed a lot of, like, he will be, if someone has an ace, it should be him.
Okay.
But he also shouldn't have, at this stack depth, like, it should have just gone in pre-flop mostly. But you're right that he, like ace king or ace queen, maybe ace jack, ace 10, like he could have somewhere he limped it in.
Okay. We're talking Graham, right?
Graham, yeah.
Okay. All right. So it goes the ace of diamonds on the turn once again. So Graham's probably not loving this ace of diamonds because now he has second pair. But again, it's probably easy for him to deduce that Adams doesn't have an ace here, and he's probably kind of pot controlling at this point. So he checks.
Yeah, he checks, and I kind of like it in the sense that, like, now I don't know, against a player like Adams who's very good, I don't know that he's going to fall into this, but this is something I would think to do a lot of the time because I'm like, it's sort of clear that I don't have an ace. So if you're against a player who's sort of just thinking on that level, you could induce a bet here. And I think it's, important to say that at this point, like, Graham is still kind of trapping too.
Yeah.
Like he knows he's almost always ahead here.
Yeah, yep.
It brings in the second diamond. No one even has a diamond. So if we're looking at hands, we're betting as a bluff now that we had checked on the flop. If we had ever checked something with 2 diamonds, I think that's an obvious bluff.
Yeah. Like 9-5 of diamonds or something like that.
Yep. 9-5 of diamonds. Anything similar to that.
Yeah, okay. All right. So the ace of diamonds comes on the turn to keep the action moving. It goes check, check again. And you might be wondering, like, why is this hand even being talked about? This hand out? You'll see here shortly as things change on the river a little bit. So,
and I think we don't need to spend much time on Adam's decision, but I think the check back now makes a ton of sense because, like, we can't rep the ace. We're not really representing anything with a bet now. And so even if he had diamonds, I think in his spot, I would check anything, even if I had 2 diamonds.
Yeah, just because his range shouldn't have any of that stuff in it. So, or the ace in it, I should say, not the diamonds. So, all right. So yeah, it goes check, check. And then we get the massively board changing 3 of spades.
Yeah, it doesn't really, I mean, if Adams had 5 deuce or like 3-4, that's about it.
5 deuce or 3-4. So
figure he probably would have bet.
Okay, so if you're Graham here, are we ever now trying to maybe get a little value in betting this river, knowing our opponent doesn't have many aces, so we could try and maybe get value from any 3x, 4x, or 8x?
Yeah, so I think at this point, unless Adams ran into 4-3 or deuce 5, but like those may have even bet before, I don't know, but
okay,
we're like 98 or 99% sure we're ahead here.
Okay.
And so I would probably bet on the larger side. I mean, the pot is like 3 big blinds. Right?
Yeah, 240K in the pot at 80K. So, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I would go, I might bet quote unquote big. So
2.5.
2, maybe even full pot.
Okay.
And GTO Wizard is a big proponent. It has a couple different bet sizes, but it's like you should always bet for queen here.
Okay. So opposed to what GTO thinks, Graham once again checks. So he limped pre and then has checked
just
all
checked
three
down
streets with a flop top pair, second pair by the river.
Yeah, which I think we can effectively call this top pair because we know Adams doesn't have an ace.
And I think, I mean, I'm wondering what Graham's thought process is here. I'm wondering if he's doing this knowing he has the best hand, hoping that he can induce something from Adams by the action so far. I think
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think we'll figure it out. So Graham checks, and then actions on Adam on this river. There's 240,000 in the pot. Graham has 820 behind, so almost 3x, right? Somewhere around that, 3x the pot. What's the action?
So Adams goes all in, or he puts Graham all in for a little over 3x pot. Graham snap calls before the camera can even fully see what's happening. His cards are on his back, or on their backs. And
so Graham was essentially trapping or trying to induce by checking this entire way.
So yeah, I think even though Graham, we would have played it differently. I think against the population as a whole, betting for value would be better. He clearly had a plan and it worked. So like,
I wonder if this plan was specifically because he was playing someone such as Mr. Adams, who, is capable of making big plays. You know what I mean?
Yeah, big bluffs like this where it's like he's going to put in a ton of chips.
I mean, being as good as he is, I wonder what kind of pressure he's applying here. Instead of just betting like maybe pot or something like that, he 3x pots to put Graham all in. He must think he can get him to fold any 4, 8, or 3 essentially is what he's aiming for.
Maybe. So I think, the first thing is like GTO Wizard, not that this is how Graham would be playing, but it wants to call with any pair, and it's kind of indifferent even if you have King Jack high here.
So GTO, the solver wants Graham to call with any pair, the 3x pot jam?
Yeah, and it only loves calling with a queen.
It would be correct here, as Adams has 10 high.
Yeah, I think the recognition is like, it's either, like Adams' value bets are all going to beat...
Either he's got 2, 5, 3, 4, or it's nothing, essentially, right?
Right, yeah. Pocket threes would have jammed pre.
Yeah.
Any ace would have. 8-3 might have been... I think 8-3 was that hand I said I would raise as a bluff pre-flop, too.
Yeah, yeah, you did.
I wasn't even
Which
thinking
would have been a
about
river 2 pair here. So essentially, like, he just has
like
deuce 5.
Deuce 5 or 3-4 maybe. And so I guess it's fair to say, like, if he had those, he would probably go all in for value if he's doing this as a bluff,
Okay, yeah.
But I'm also like, is 10 high ever just good here? Because I think
you're beating 5 6s, 6 7s, yeah, 7 9s.
Could be ahead of like 9s. Yeah, so actually I guess he's probably mostly targeting. He could be targeting some of the weaker pairs.
He has to, because like imagine if he has Jack high or King high here. He doesn't need to bet 3x pot to get those to fold.
Probably not. But like,
I feel like his 3x sizing makes it almost easier to call because it looks like there's not many hands that are going to be value betting that size. Whereas if he were to bet 3/4 pot or pot, there's a lot more.
He could have like an 8 or something.
Yeah, he could be repping hands that his value range widens up. So by 3x potting, his value range slims way down. Whereas if he bets
that
pot or 3/4, his value range all of a sudden has 8s in it and better queens, etc.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Actually, the big bet polarizes him a lot, and yeah, like if he did bet, obviously like this doesn't factor in when Graham has a queen.
Yeah.
But if Graham had like a 4, when Adams bets maybe 200 into 240, he could be recognizing that his 10-8 is almost always good and he's going for value.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I don't think he would jam for value with an 8.
Yeah, no, I mean 3x, not 3x pot either. So like, again, it's one of those spots where it's like one of the first rules you learned in poker, where it's like you don't want to. God damn it, I lost my train of thought. But you don't want to value own yourself, essentially.
Yeah, you want, when you're making a bet with a hand that you think is the best hand, you want most of the hands that you get called by to be ones you beat. You don't want to. Yeah. You don't want to blast off the hands that you're beating, so that you're mostly just getting called by the hands
that beat you. Yeah, and that's what,
unless you're bluffing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's exactly right. So a very interesting hand. This is the first one we went over today in the WSOP Paradise hand review. So Adams ends up losing a decent chunk. Graham doubles up. We got a bunch more hands to get into. Let's do it.
All right, hand number 2 is not too much later on here. We're at the same table. The
Same blind level.
Yep. Blinds are still 40, 80, 80K. And Brandon Adams is still in the hand. So he is in the hijack. He's got just over 1.2 million. So that's just over 15 big blinds. He min raises to 160. He's got ace 10 offsuit.
I love just raising here as an open fold, not open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't scare me.
Yeah. So what I mean by that is I love raising and then folding to 3 bets instead of just going all in pre-flop with 15 bigs from the hijack with ace 10 off. If I had, like we were mentioned earlier, maybe like 12 or 11, we can just go all in with this hand here.
Yeah.
And cause we have, a lot of fold deck, we can just pick up the blinds. But with 15 bigs, I think that's just over the line to where we want to get it all in.
Yeah, I'm fully on board with everything you just said. We're too deep to just rip this kind of hand.
Yeah.
And it's too weak of a hand to call off if we get 3-bet.
Oh God, this hand is spicy.
Yeah, this is a cool one.
So yeah, Adams opens hijack ace 10 on 15 bigs. We have Zhao.
So Zhao, don't know much about him as a player.
Never seen him.
He's got just under 2 million, so he's got just under 25 bigs, and he's in the cutoff. He has queen jack of clubs, which is already kind of an interesting spot because Adams has 15 bigs, and like this is actually a pretty good hand to 3-bet jam because you do get to fold out a lot better hands, and you also have equity against like ace king, 10s, 9s, 8s.
And Zhao has what, like 23, 4 bigs, something like that?
24. Yeah. So the one thing that sucks is like if you jam and someone wakes up with a hand behind you.
Yeah, that's the biggest issue.
Like if this was cut off button, I think I'm jamming it.
So
A decent amount, actually.
I don't know if you noticed this, but Zhao, Adams opens. Zhao, you can tell he already looked at his cards because the camera's on him immediately, and he didn't peel them, so he had already looked at his cards. And then he does this weird double hand thing where he puts his left hand over his left card, his right hand over his right card, does a little like voodoo finger movement over one, points to his right card, and then pulls his hands back without doing nothing. Did you notice that?
I didn't notice that specifically.
Well, I'll show you that later so we can keep this show rolling.
And yeah,
it was just
the listeners. Yeah,
it was weird.
This was a good one
mannerisms.
to watch on video if you're listening because we can't do it justice by describing it fully. But there's a lot of live stuff going on here.
So it's the non-final table WSOP Paradise Main Event stream. It's at the 59-minute mark. So if you're watching the stream, it's day 3, 59-minute mark. You can see it. But the mannerisms in this one are important. Anyways, not that plays a big role. I just wanted you to notice it. And Mr. Adams is just staring at his hand. So he noticed something was weird about that. What happens from there?
So then Zhao, he picks up 300K chips and he goes for other chips. So it looks like he's putting in a small 3-bet.
Yeah.
And he just looks at Adams and then he puts out a call.
While still staring at Adams.
While still staring at him.
Yeah, so he has the
weird.
3-bet chips in his hand. With his other hand, he takes off the re-raise part of the chips and then puts in the call, but while all at the same time staring at Adams. So he's essentially angle shooting. Like he's trying to get a read off Adams by what he would think if he was to 3-bet. So he's trying to get a reaction out of Adams.
He's either angling or he's trying to level Adams into thinking he's angling. You know?
Yeah. I mean, either way, it's an angle of some sort. Like he's trying to get a reaction by doing an action that I guess the truth is with his hand, he could go either way. So that's in his defense.
This is an awkward one.
It is. So
flatting when your opponent has 15 blind, it's just you're not going to realize that much equity post flop necessarily.
And so he lands on call while doing all that weird angling stuff.
Yeah. So then we get to the button guy named Chamas.
Most of you may know him as Baruzzi. He's a GG Poker ambassador.
Yeah. And I didn't know that, but that's good to know. So he's immediately got an interesting spot too, because hijack and cutoff are in there, and they're both shortish. But he also has just over 1.6 million.
So he's got just over 20 bigs.
Just over 20, and he has ace 9 offsuit. So this is like another hand where you should probably fold, but you have an ace blocker. Like he's seen some weird stuff.
And a bunch of weird information being displayed in front of him. I mean, you got to watch this video, but with all the weird angling and stuff that just happened, it got his bells, ringing a little bit.
Yeah, so he kind of tanks for a long time. He puts out a 3-bet to 400K. So he 2.5Xs, which is like against one open that makes some sense at this stack depth. Could go a little smaller, but against an open and a call, like that's
You're just not going to get mini folds with this sizing either.
I mean, you kind of maybe not. Like
again, off his stack being on 20 bigs. I mean, I know there's a bunch of weird shit happening in front of this, but I think fold is just where you should be landing here.
Fold is the best play. I think the one thing is like if you're going to do anything here, if you're going to 3-bet just in general with any hand, most of your 3-bets are going to be all in.
Yeah, with 20 bigs.
Yeah, especially when one opponent has 15 or something. So it raises red flags when he does that. Now, to be fair, I think he would do this with like the big pairs, aces, kings, queens too. I think that this is the sort of spot where if you're gonna squeeze, do it with, squeeze to a small 3-bet size.
Yeah.
You want to do it with the absolute strongest hands.
Yeah.
Where you're inducing action. And then, have some sort of raggedy.
It's really hard to balance that.
Yeah. And also, I think this is a hand where in the moment he just knew something was up.
Yeah. He saw all the theatrics that happened just shortly before that. So he goes with the 3-bet to 400K. So the original raise was to 160K. Zhao called 160K. Baruzzi makes it 400K on the button.
So both blinds fold.
And then Adams also folds.
Adams folds. So this is a good defense of the play in a sense because, he got a dominating hand to fold out with just this small 3-bet.
But he still has to worry about Zhao, who did a bunch of weird shit right in front of him. Like acted like he was going to 3-bet, then just landed on call and has just over 20 bigs. Like, man, it's just big risky here. You know what I mean?
It is. So I think we don't need to talk too much about Adams. I think you and I both agree. You kind of have to fold because we think we might be being trapped by Zhao, and then obviously,
he's just with the action behind him and all the stuff. Yeah, Ace 10 is just going into the muck immediately for me here. It sucks, but we
could be crushed in either spot, really.
Yeah.
And then Zhao. So once there's the fold. So now one thing to keep in mind too is now there's like an extra 160 just sitting dead in the middle too,
which is crucial at this point considering how short all these players were.
Yeah, if we're up against, I guess with Zhao, it's a tough spot again. Like we could call, but we're just at that point the stack to pot ratio is going to be like 1. And then we might be up against a hand that's crushing us, and then we're out of position too. It just
what happens at this point?
So Zhao pretty quickly just goes all in.
He just says I'm all in,
and then gets the snap fold from Chamas. So like,
did we ever mention? We did mention that Baruzzi has Chamas, aka Baruzzi has just Ace 9, right? We did mention it. Okay, so he snap folds it. I love this by Zhao, even though he angled early, just a little bit earlier than that. Because he acted like he was going to 3-bet, he followed through with his story.
Yeah, he stuck with the story of like I have a big pair. Yeah. Now, to be fair, he might trap with a big pair again here, but.
Just call. Yeah, I mean, if he has aces, he might just call, Yeah,
this was a leveling war where he recognized that Chamas recognized that there was some funky stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And now the thing is, occasionally he'll run into like aces here, but.
Yeah. But somehow Zhao, with the worst of all 3 hands, wins a big pot.
It's a pretty big pot at that point. Yeah. Like he picks up, 560 plus the blind, so 760K. So just under.
Like 7 or 8 bigs?
9.5.
9.5. Okay, math. Yeah.
9.5 bigs, which at this point where they're all like 15 to 25, these guys at least are 15 to 25 bigs deep. Like that's a big pot.
Yeah. I mean, these kind of plays deep in these massive events like this it's fun to watch for sure. But I just, again, so the only plays I take away that I like from this, I like the open with Ace 10 and then the fold. I don't like the angle with the Queen Jack where he looked like he was going to 3-bet and then lands on call. I don't know. And then he gives him the look. I don't know. It's just something rubs me wrong about that, although it paid off for him in dividends here.
I would probably have just 3-bet jammed.
Yeah, the Queen Jack clubs. Yeah, I agreed with that. And then, and I think what I hate most of all this is Baruzzi getting cute with the Ace 9 off, considering the stack depths. Maybe if they're a lot deeper, you could make some plays like this. But I think at this stack depth, I just don't like it as much. I think it's just too risky to. I mean, you're putting he put in 4 of his 20 bigs, so 20%,
Five
or
bigs,
5,
yeah.
even more. So
I actually kind of liked it personally.
you're fish.
Yeah. Well, just kidding.
I know you like getting cute. We played poker together. So, yeah. Okay. Well, it's okay for us to disagree.
I do like that Zhao followed through with the plan, or the plan of saying he had a big hand.
Yeah, I like that. And one thing I do like about Chamas, aka Baruzzi's 3-bet there, is that those are the kind of plays you sometimes need to make. Maybe not in this scenario for me specifically, but those are the kind of cues that you want to take on to be a successful player. You can't just play A, B, C all the time. Like, these are spots where they're very unique and dynamic and can be complex. So he noticed a bunch of weird stuff on it and went with his gut there. So I can't hate him for that.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into hand number 3. So Wes, how does the action go?
They all go all in. No. So this one
Blind.
involves David Peters, who
Most of us know.
yeah, most of us know, high roller.
Crusher, probably
Crusher.
top 10 all-time money earner, I would assume.
He might be. Yeah, I can't remember for sure, but
He's got tens of millions in earnings.
He's
though.
way up there. He has several bracelets.
Yeah. Just a very well-known pro.
Yeah. Anyway, so he has not that many chips. He has 1.6 million, and we're up to 5,100K now. So he has 16 bigs.
Okay.
He has ace-7 of clubs in the low jack, and he actually goes for the raise to 230K.
Interesting. Why not the min click here?
So looking at the blinds, the reason for it is Adams is in the big blind, and he only has, before the hand started, he had 850. So he
8.5 big. So he's trying to.
So with the ante out there, he's got 7.5. So he's trying to give Adams a worse price to just flat.
He's trying to eliminate stop and go spots.
Yes, I think that is exactly what he's doing.
Okay, so what a stop and go would be is where he would open 200 instead of 230 to then where Brian could flat and then just jam flops. He could just call pre and then jam flops with any sort of equity draws. So he's trying to eliminate that by not giving him a good price pre.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's exactly what he's doing. So he opens the 230. Graham, so this is the guy from the first hand who's the amateur investor guy.
Yep. The guy who made a snap all-in call for 3 times pot with second pair. Legend.
Yeah.
Love it.
That was nice. He's got king, queen offsuit, king of spades, queen of hearts, which will be maybe slightly relevant, the suits. He decides to just flat from the small blind.
On 15 bigs, how do we like this? Do we just want to jam this?
Yeah, it's not terrible. Like, if you're going to flat, it makes some sense to have this sort of hand, but you can definitely make an argument for jamming, especially, again, you're out of position against this guy who's one of the best players probably in the world.
Yeah.
If it's a spot where it would normally be close, that would lean me more towards let's just jam and try to pick up the pot now.
Okay.
Because I think, especially out of position, we're going to get outplayed more than we're going to do the outplaying.
Yeah, especially against someone like David Peters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it kind of, yeah.
I don't hate it, but I might
Going back
lean
to
more
our
towards
reasoning from earlier, against the best in the world and playing out of position against them, you probably just want to jam to avoid any nonsense.
Mm-hmm. Anyways.
Or maybe even fold.
King, queen.
We don't fold.
Max,
Come on.
Max, you would never do that.
I know.
In a million
Yeah,
years.
you're probably true. That's right. So, yeah, anyways, David raises to 230K. Graham in the small blind with 15 bigs lands on a call.
And then Adams does fold the big blind. So we got 660K in the pot here. And we got the flop of jack of clubs, 8 of clubs, 6 of diamonds. So as a reminder, Peters has ace-7 of clubs here. So he flops the nut flush draw.
An absolutely monster flop for Peters.
Yeah. So, and then Graham flops pretty much nothing. He's got a backdoor straight draw and 2 overcards. No backdoor flush draw of any sort.
He's got the king of spades, queen of hearts on, he's got, just 2 overs and a potential backdoor straight draw. So,
yeah.
All right.
So Graham checks, and, looking at the hands here, as I was watching this hand, I figured, Peters is just going to bet small and the pot's going to be over, right?
That's what I was thinking as well.
Because he has a hand, nut flush draw, overcard. He has a hand that very comfortably can just get all in here. I would anticipate he bets small, and then if he gets raised, it's just
he's
going
going
in.
to get in, yeah. Do you think he landed on... So he ends up...
He checked it.
He checks it back. I mean, we should be able to remove 6s, 8s, and jacks from our opponent because those should be going in pre, right?
Like the sets?
Yeah.
Yes.
So all sets should be gone. So he's essentially, I mean, I know ace high is often the best hander. Is he just pot controlling then?
Yeah, I think his logic is like the jack especially, like it could be the case that Graham flats a lot of, maybe king jack, queen jack, suited connectors. So like he either has a pair or like 10-9 suited where.
So he's trying to realize equity before he gets chips in instead of getting in a flip spot against something like a middling pair with a straight draw or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it. Like he'll have he's looking to avoid getting it in against a pair right now.
Okay.
And there's a little deception there too where most of the time when if you're the out of position player here, in position checks it back, and if the flush comes in, you're not expecting them to have a flush very much.
Yeah, I know exactly, and we've talked about that before actually. So the turn comes, so it goes check check. The turn comes the 9 of diamonds. So it's a two-tone board now. It's a jack of clubs, 8 of clubs, 6 of diamonds, 9 of diamonds. So Peters now has an up and down straight draw with the nut flush draw. And Graham just has 2 overs with the
gutter to the 10.
The gutter straight draw. So any 10 that's not a diamond or a club would give him the nut straight.
Yep.
So he's still drawing slim. I mean, Peters on this turn is 84%. Graham's a 16% favorite.
Yeah, he's got 7 outs. 3 of the 10s are live, and then 2 of the kings, 2 of the queens.
So I'm curious of your thoughts. I'll tell you my thoughts before, and we'll see here. So Graham elects to lead here, just like under third pot, something like that.
Yeah, I think he leads exactly third pot.
He leads third pot. So
220.
I mean, I just think the reason I think this is good is because Peters has a lot of aces, ace kings, and ace queens. He's gonna fold.
Yeah. So
I know we block those with king queen, but I mean.
Yeah, they're definitely in there.
After he checks back that flop, he has a lot of that in his range.
Yeah, he'll have ace 10, ace 9, ace 7. He'll have.
He could also have pocket 5s, pocket 4s, pocket 3s, probably.
Yeah, there's a certain, I think deuces and 3s, he probably just folds pre-flop at the step.
Yeah, maybe 7s. So, I mean, there's still pocket pairs that aren't wanting to get chips in here that he would open pre.
What I would also say is I kind of like it too, because this is going to be the only hand we have that doesn't have at least a pair, if we're thinking of the hands.
He has no showdown value at this point.
He has absolutely no showdown value, but I think this has to be a 2-street plan because Peters can have, he could have turned diamonds.
Yeah.
He could have ace 10, which is an open ender now. So or ace 9, there are other hands that are not that strong that are definitely calling turn that we're going to have to bluff.
So if we make this play with king queen, we're essentially jamming a lot of rivers. There might be a few that we're not jamming, I guess.
I would lean towards if both flush draws miss,
or maybe not jamming, but betting river.
Betting big, yeah. We unblock both flush draws, which is good if both of them miss, because then there are a few more hands that Peters could maybe have that called the turn with a flush draw, So I think if both flush draws miss, and we don't improve, then it's probably good to either jam or bet big. If one of the draws comes in, it's tricky because there are a lot of other things Peters could have too. But point being, yes, this definitely has to be a 2-street plan. And like you said, there are going to be a ton of rivers we're bluffing on here.
Let me ask you. So Graham leads now, king, queen, on the 6-8 jack 9 two-tone board, with Peters having essentially, I would say his hand is probably doesn't have much showdown value at this point, even though it's ace high.
Yeah, it has basically none except we happen to be ahead.
Right. Yeah. We happen to be in this case and far ahead, but only against a few hands, right? Like king, queen. But anyways, do we ever turn our hand into a bluff here with ace 7 of clubs? With how much equity we have against, say he has jack, queen, 9, 10 suited. I guess those aren't going to fold to a jam, but.
They're probably not. My instinct is to just call. We're getting a great price in position.
I'm curious. I'm not sure what if I would ever take that line or not, but it was a thought that came by. So Graham bets $220K and Peters lands on call.
Yep. So we got 1.1 million in the middle here.
And then we get an interesting river card, the 10 of diamonds. So now there's 4 to a straight out there multiple ways, and 3 diamonds. So
they both river a straight.
They both river a straight, right? So Peters has 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 jack, whereas Graham has 8, 9, 10 jack, queen, king. I mean, that's 6 cards.
They're both 6 cards.
They're 6 cards straight.
Yeah, so Graham has the nut straight. Peters has the low end of the straight. It was the backdoor diamonds came in. So Graham doesn't have the nuts, but he definitely has a hand here where I think you need to go for value.
Also, before we talk about his value, he set with the 220K on the turn and getting called, he set up almost a perfect 1-to-1 SPR.
Yeah.
Now that we're essentially nutted, I know we don't have the diamonds, but we have the nut straight. Do we just go for it all here?
I would think the best play is to like go for all except, leave like one big blind back. So,
to make it look bluffy?
Not even to make it. It's just like the right play is like you should just do that with your bluffs and value, because the value of having that extra chip behind when you're bluffing means so much more than getting the extra chip when you're value betting.
Understandable.
So you should always
That's deep. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that the pros, the top level guys have been doing for a while, but it just makes perfect sense. And obviously, if you're going to do something that specific, you need to do it both when you're value betting and bluffing, or else it just gets way too obvious. So
I love it. So Graham decides to not go with the all-in sizing. He goes with...
Yeah, he goes for 605K.
So just a little over half pot.
Yeah, which is interesting. I mean, I like it in the sense that against Peters' specific hand, it's a little bit better, because Peters has, even though he rivered the straight, it's really just a bluff catcher, because on this super wet river, I mean, we already kind of established Graham couldn't have a pocket pair, so he's not going to have a set. He's not going to bet 2 pair here. Yeah. So he's basically saying I either have a straight or a flush or a bluff. And as Peters, we can't beat a flush.
We can't beat any queen.
Yeah, we can't beat any queen.
Which our opponent has a lot of. I mean, like the jack queen suited, the king queens, the king queen suited.
Yeah. We don't know. Is he going to bet us up? Like, maybe we'll sometimes be chopping here. And then all we can beat is a bluff, but how, what is
he bluffing? Shouldn't even have too many 7s in his range with the pre-flop from small blind call, either maybe 7-8 suited or something.
Yeah, a couple.
Maybe.
And that could be diamonds.
Yeah, I think, and if I'm Peters here, even though I have the straight, the butt end of the straight, I mean, what a dumbass run out, right? But I think I'm going to just find the fold here, knowing that his range is pretty narrow from the small blind at this point.
Yeah, the queen, like him having something like king queen or queen 10 suited that turned to straight, or like queen jack, those make a decent amount of sense. And if you think about what he might have bluffed on the turn, like, man, obviously, like if we were to throw this in some sort of solver, there would be some bluffs, but man, they're hard to find.
They're really hard to find. I see a lot more value than I see bluffs.
Yeah, like even a lot of the strong hands, like
queen 10 of diamonds on the turn. Even though the 10 of diamonds on the river, he could, like, the only bluff I could think is like,
well, that's the
queen 10's the nuts on the turn.
King 10.
King 10. Okay.
So I think king 10 is probably the hand to bluff with.
And it has to be suited for him to call from the small blind.
I would think so. Yeah. So like king 10 suited, it's a good turn bluff, and then recognizing that the pair of 10s on the river is
so like king 10 of diamonds or king 10 of clubs are like essentially.
Yeah, I mean he could have the other king 10 suiteds, but even that is just so hard to. That's not many combinations. Yeah. It's much easier to find the value bet than it is a bluff in this sort of spot.
So David, being the consummate pro he is,
does find the fold.
He lands on a fold. Honestly, like, I just don't think it's that terribly hard of a fold. I know you were thinking it was like more of a tough spot, but you're a fish, so we're I expect these spots to be tougher for you than they would be for me.
Wow. Just coming out fired. This is why I fired you at the beginning of the show. God damn it.
I love you, bro. That was a good third hand. Let's get into some final table hands here before we wrap things up.
All right, so I've been kind of pulling our weight this whole podcast, I think. You haven't done anything, so
okay. Well, let's get into my hands.
Why don't we get into a couple of your hands? You got some from the final table.
I do. So the very first hand is a great example of pot control, not how to not lose your stack with a massive, absolutely massive draw in a heads-up pot.
It probably has a lot to do with final table dynamics.
Exactly. Being at the final table here. So we are now at the final table. There's 6 left in this hand. ICM is huge. We have $2 million to first, and current payout is 400,000. So
yep. Yeah. So 400K to 6, 2 million to first.
So essentially, to start off the hand here, we actually miss the video doesn't show the pre-flop action due to an interview happening, but it's easy to figure out that Nielsen opened from the cutoff with pocket jacks 2x, and then Schroeder defended the big blind with 9-10 of diamonds.
Okay.
So there's currently 3.3 million in the pot. Nielsen has 36 million at 600K BB, and Schroeder has 26.2 million. So
it's like 60 bigs versus 43 or 44.
Exactly. So they're both relatively deep, being with 6-handed at a final table with all this money in play.
Yeah, and I think it's good to know. So the shortest stack here is, it looks like, just under 25 bigs.
A lot of stacks are similar. Yeah. So both of them, and there's no really short stacks, I guess. The shortest stack looks like to be 22 bigs or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so back to the hand. Nielsen opens pocket jacks. Schroeder defends the 9-10 of diamonds. I'm not familiar with any of these remaining players besides Matt Glantz. These are all unknowns to me.
Same for me.
So the flop comes 5 of diamonds, queen of diamonds, jack of clubs. First off, I want to mention, I think everything is pretty standard at this point.
Yep. It was a min raise.
Yeah, min raise jacks, defend 9-10 of diamonds. Like that's just always going to happen that way. I mean, you could 3-bet 9-10 of diamonds, but I wouldn't.
Not in a final table when you're up against a bigger stack.
Yeah, exactly.
Just not the time to do it.
Exactly. So Schroeder essentially flops the up and down draw. He's got 9-10 of diamonds. So any king or any 8 will give him a straight, and any diamond will give him a flush. And Nielsen flops middle set with pocket jacks.
Yeah, so this is already a cooler, whichever way it ends up.
Yeah, I'm expecting a lot of chips to go into the middle in this pot. So it starts off with Schroeder checking the 9-10 of diamonds. If we're Nielsen here and we have jacks on the 5 queen jack 2 diamond, are we going to size up?
I think there's an argument for it. Yeah, I mean, we have a perfect hand in the sense that we have a set. We basically have the nuts here because we're not expecting to be against queens.
Yeah, out of 3-bet pre.
But it's better to unblock top pair, so we could get some serious value if Schroeder has a queen here.
Yeah.
And then it's also a wet board, so we can get value from draws. We can, maybe induce action, or if he has a queen, it's like reasonable to think we could be barreling with a draw as well.
I would probably go half pot or maybe even a little bit more, just because of how juicy this board is, how wet it is. Nielsen actually doesn't, though. He goes exactly third pot, 1.1 into 3.3 million.
Yeah.
If you're Schroeder with 9-10 of diamonds here, obviously we have no showdown value, but we have so much equity. And being with how much ICM is on the line, are you going to be raising this hand, or are you going to be just calling, trying to realize your equity?
My plan is usually going to be, in this sort of spot specifically, just call, and then hopefully get there.
I think calling is exactly what I would do as well. There might be some scenarios in some specific tournaments where I might check raise this specific hand being so strong, but a lot of the times I'm just going to be trying to realize equity and then getting the chips in, I think.
Yeah, and I think, there are two things. It's one, the ICM, and then also the fact that this board, you're not representing a ton when you check raise from the big blind.
Yeah, I mean,
if
pocket
it was like
fives or maybe jack queen.
Yeah, if there was like a 8-6-5 board where you can have
all the straights,
two pair, and then you have a draw, let's say it's 8-6-5 2 diamonds, and you have 10-9 of diamonds, so you have a gutter two overs and a flush draw.
Yeah.
Then it makes more sense to raise because not only do you have the equity, but you have a lot more you're sort of saying you could have.
That's a great example. That's a great point because I think that this board where the jack and the queen are up there, it interacts a lot more with the pre-flop opener's range. So we're not going to get as many folds due to that compared to where you said if it was like a smaller flop that smashes our range instead of his.
Yep.
All right. So Nielsen, Schroeder checks. Nielsen bets third pot, and Schroeder lands on call. We're loving it so far. I mean, he just wants to, to realize his equity here.
Yeah. Which he has a ton of.
Yeah, we get the 3 of spades on the turn, just a complete brick. If I'm Schroeder, I'm always checking here.
Yep.
I'm
no reason to do anything else. There wouldn't be any, even if you somehow turn 2-pair with a 3, you're not suddenly just
imagine doing something stupid like block betting here, and then block betting doesn't even make sense. I mean, donk block betting. I don't know.
Yeah,
and then just getting raised and having to fold or whatever you have to do.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be a good play, but there could be the only logic for it would be like, oh, I want to get a cheap price on my draw.
Yeah. That's the point. But then you would also risk losing,
raised,
getting raised, which we know Nielsen would probably do here with the middle set.
With this hand.
Or with second set. So Schroeder checks. Nielsen now bets what? He bets 4.5 into 6.5? Is that right? Or no,
into
5.5. Yeah. So he bets 4.5 into 5.5. I like this because now we know that our opponent either has like a queen or some sort of diamond draw. I guess he could have
a straight draw.
Yeah.
Or the last jack. But yeah, he's got something. And like this card, if we had a draw, we would keep firing big here.
Yeah.
So I agree. I do think, though, your point of he should have bet a little larger on the flop.
Yeah.
I think that is a good point because now when he bets like 80% on the turn, if he gets called, his opponent is still going to have like 1.3 times the pot behind him.
Yeah.
If we had bet larger on the flop, we could bet like 80% on the turn and make it so on the river the stacks are more reasonable to where we could get it all in.
Exactly, yeah. So I think sizing up the flop could have made, he could have potentially got all the chips in the middle.
Yeah, and it's, I think for listeners, it's always good to sort of keep these things in mind when you're on the flop. Like, size your betting, yes, in proportion to the pot, but also in proportion to the effective stack.
Yeah.
And, kind of know what you want to do on later streets.
Okay. It's a great point. And so if we're Schroeder here, again, I think because we have so much equity still, we're just going to be calling here.
Yeah.
Almost every time.
Yeah, we call and we have some implied odds too. If especially if a straight rolls off, like we could get, maybe he'll check back on a flush, but if he has like a set or 2-pair or king queen and the river's a king, like we can easily get a very large bet out of this guy in the river.
So now there's 14.5 million in the pot. This thing is getting big now. The river comes a 5 of clubs. So Schroeder just completely whiffs all the way. Before we get into the action, what I would do here is, I'm always just check folding.
Yeah.
Like it sucks that we lost this pot. We gave ourselves the best opportunity to win it as played. So I think Schroeder nailed it the way he played it in this specific scenario. He lands on check. Nielsen, what does Nielsen bet into it? So Nielsen he overbet pot jams.
Yeah, for like 1.3. And obviously, gets the fold. I kind of like the bet, but as we had kind of talked about, it would be better if there was a little bit more in the pot already and the jam was more like pot
1
size.
to 1. Yeah. SPR stack to pot ratio. Exactly. So, obviously he can't find the call there with 10 high. So he folds. But I think the biggest takeaway or that made this hand interesting is how big those two hands were and how the 9-10 of diamonds figured out a way to not go bust.
Yeah, played very well, I think, by both. I think the only thing I would do differently is bet a bit bigger on the flop.
Yeah,
with the set of
like
jacks.
you said, because against his hand there, he could have found a way to maybe get it all in. All right, Wes. So, like you said, I got to carry my weight here. Hand number 2 from the final table. This will actually be the last hand we cover on this. Is a very interesting one, and in my opinion, quite the punt. There's 5 left.
We love those.
We do love talking and watching punts. So 5 left in the WSOP Paradise Main Event. I think, let's see, payouts right now they're guaranteed $510K with $2 million up top. It starts off, it folds to Sousa, who's on the button. He has queen 9 of spades. It's 600K BB level. He raises to 1.2. So 2 big blinds with queen 9 of spades. I think this is completely standard.
Yep.
Let's see, our opponent, we have 34 bigs to start the hand?
Yep.
Yeah, so queen 9 of spades, slam dunk open on the button. Folds to the big blind, Sklenika. I don't know if I pronounced that right.
Probably butchered it.
It's pretty close.
I don't know if I could do it.
He has the ace of clubs, queen of hearts. He's also the chip leader right now in the tournament, or he's tied for chip lead in the tournament. Mm-hmm. He 3-bets, and so he actually sizes up this 3-bets. I think it's 4.5x he goes. So it goes from 1.2 to 5.1.
Yeah. So 4.25 basically, which is like, if you're deep, that's a pretty normal sizing.
When you're like sub 50 though, I like smaller sizings.
Yeah, like
3-bets.
Especially final table where like you put so much pressure on someone.
If you watch a lot of WSOP main event final tables, yeah, like their 3-bet and 4-bet sizings are so clicky.
Yeah. Like the ICM implications make it so that like you don't need, your opponent can be getting a good price as far as chips, but that doesn't mean they're getting a good price as far as the actual money that they could win.
Okay. Know? So we did a little bit of math here. So going back to the action, Sousa has 34 bigs, opens queen 9 of spades on the button. We get 3-bet, relatively large by Sklenika, who's a chip leader. Are we calling with queen 9 of spades? And some important factors to take into consideration are, number one, we have one stack that's shorter than us, Matt Glantz. He's almost tied with us. If we were to fold, we'd essentially be tied dead even with him. Are we flatting here?
This is a really awkward one because if we flat, suddenly the pot's going to be like 12 million and we'll have, 16
behind. Yeah.
We have a hand that can flop kind of well, but we're also not.
Yeah. I think what I would do is probably just the hand, even though the hand's pretty and it's painful, I'd probably land on a fold just for ICM reasons. And also, I think what Sousa's thinking here, though, is that Sklenika is going to be just 3-betting a little bit lighter, applying pressure on stacks due to ICM.
Which I think is, it's definitely accurate.
It's fair to think about. However, I don't believe it justifies his next move. Getting to the point here, Sousa then 4-bet jams over Sklenika's 3-bet with the queen 9 of spades to 34 bigs. He just rips it all in.
Yeah. And he gets called and loses.
He gets snap called by ace queen and loses. He gives that grimacing face like, oh, shit, I got snap called. So I understand that Sousa is thinking that Sklenika is 3-betting light because of ICM and chip stack sizes. I don't think that's enough information to justify 4-bet ripping with a smaller stack than you. Homeboy wants to win, though, clearly.
Yeah. And okay, so my instinct is the exact same as yours. Like, I would get out of here with this hand. I would fold the queen 9 suited. It probably is some sort of a thing where like there are certain hands that you can fight back with. You want to be like suited. You want, I don't know. I don't know anything about this guy, so I don't know how studied he is. Maybe this is a thing that's just supposedly good, but to me it feels very punty. Like if I did it, I would not. This is not something I would do. Essentially,
there's 5 people left in the WSOP Paradise Main Event final table. Like this play is out of line.
Yeah, and so we did a little calculation here.
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway from this, and we could have even done this for the last hand, but like figuring out the ICM value of stacks. So at this point, minimum payout's $510K. First place is $2 million, and before the hand started, Sousa's stack was worth $955,000.
Literally in real dollars.
His
stack, 34 big blinds, is worth, how much did you say?
$955,000.
So his stack is worth $1 million.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Which is insane, yeah. Obviously, when he busts, he has $510,000.
It's worth $500,000.
So he just lost $445K in real dollars in this hand.
If he were to rip it and win the hand, what would his stack be worth?
So and this is a very important point, if he doubled up this hand, so if he had over twice the amount of chips at the end of the hand, his stack would be worth, quote unquote, only 1.21 million.
So he would lose 400K if he lost the hand.
Yeah, 440.
440K if he lost the hand, but he would only gain like 250K if he were to win the hand.
Yeah, so this is a really good lesson. And obviously, like, in the moment, you're not going to be knowing these exact numbers, but it's a really good gauge on like how important stack preservation is. And like, if he doubles up, that doesn't mean he has double the money. Now, in a cash game, if you double up, you have double the money. In a tournament, in a final table, if you double up, like he gains what, like 250 in actual dollars.
Yeah.
You know, that's like, I don't know. It basically comes out to like he would need to win the pot 60% of the time instead of 50% of the time, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, even if he doubles here, he's not putting himself in any commanding position to win the tournament.
Yeah, and so it means that like this 4-bet jam obviously as a bluff, it has to work so much more frequently than usual.
Yeah,
and you know, you can extrapolate and say like in situations like, let's say where you're calling a 4-bet jam and you're the one at risk, you have to have much better odds than usual to make it a good call.
You know what we've been doing wrong this whole time, Wes?
What's that?
We've been giving good information.
Yeah, what the hell?
You know what we should be doing? So let's restart this hand history over. So Sousa 4-bet jams the queen 9 of spades. I really like this play. The
only thing I would do differently is just open limp.
I would limp. Yeah, no, I would limp. I would open limp and then 3-bet jam over the button with the queen 9 of spades.
Yeah.
We just have so many chips. They're just going to fold a lot, right?
Yeah, they're going to fold, and, we're feeling lucky. So, I mean, you see that bracelet he's got on, like that's his lucky bracelet.
He's got a lucky bracelet. The chips are green and purple, which are his favorite colors. Like,
yeah, very intimidating beard too. Like, who's going to call off a jam from this guy?
Yeah, so I think this would be much more profitable for our bankrolls. At least let's continue with these.
We should just start making episodes of like teaching everyone how to punt,
punt.
Framing it as
Correct
good strategy.
God, that's so good. I love it. So that will actually wrap up all of our hand histories from the WSOP Paradise Main Event final table. I want to give a big congrats to Shklenika, who Zigal. Someone won this damn tournament.
Yeah.
But for winning the WSOP Paradise Main Event, I'm surprised that they ended up hitting all the guarantees that they promised, being with the WPT going on, being with it in the Bahamas where it's hard to get money in and out of.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many different things. There's a bunch of cool hand histories to go over today, though. Like, what a bunch of punts. We got some pot control, and we got a bunch of cool different scenarios. Moving forward, it is the end of the year. We're coming up on Christmas here. Our next episode, we're going to do an episode based on math and how to figure out calculations, especially for people who aren't good at that kind of stuff, to help them improve their game.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this one because this is like...
Because you're a nerd.
I'm a fucking nerd. That's always been my strength is math. And you don't need to be, some math wizard. You don't need to be figuring out the exact odds in the moment. But you do need to sort of understand the math theory behind why you make a value bet or what price you're getting, because you can have a great read on roughly what someone, you can narrow them down to a few hands, but then, let's say you're getting 3-1 and you're like, I think I'm probably beat, so I fold. And it could be the case where like, well, you should call because you're probably good like 30% of the time.
Yeah. I do look forward to getting into those with you, as I think that will help my game a lot as well as other people. So we got a nice math episode coming up for you. I know that sounds boring, but this one will
We're going to get like 2 listens.
No, this one will be good though, because this is what people actually need to know to improve their game. So make sure to stick around next week for that one. Until then, I guess we will see you on the next one.